I must admit, this time I've been washed down the drain like hazardous material. Sitting around as waste does in the average recycle center, waiting patiently to be destroyed, recycled, and returned to the world. A tall man captivated my attention during my wait. I watched from afar him standing in the center of a circle of men dramatizing his actions while reciting a verbal assault. Before I could grasp the plot, of his fallacy act, he was exerted with applause. Suddenly the crowd departed and the man held his index finger extended instructing me to join in. I hopped to my feet out of embarrassment, as the crowd closed in. The man asked me, "So what are you here to see the doctor for? Will you be recycled or will you be disposed to the dumps?" I replied, "I am not sure if I will be disposed, but I am sure I don't want to ever have to repeat this process. Oh, by the way, my name is Groove and I am here to see the doctor too if I will ever be eligible to return to society to manipulate music in life." The entire crowd moaned and swayed in the opposite direction as if I had said something wrong. Before I could place what just happened, men in surgical uniforms interrupted the gathering, telling us to break up the ruckus, reinforcing the recycle center's list of minor rules. The man said, "Here comes the bullshit," as the crowd withered into four. We sat and watched men being escorted out the waiting tank in straitjackets and shackles and hauled off to see the doctor. Sitting at a long dilapidated table, the four of us became acquainted. The man asked, "So what kind of music were you manipulating out there in life?" I replied, "Everything from pop to classical. Everything I did revolved around music. I applied it to my everyday life, and consumed it to be more than just entertainment. I am so much of a junkie my peers and relatives adopted the pseudonym Groove for me." The three men just laughed unfathomably. I couldn't confirm what was so funny. I thought by sticking out my chest, unraveling my confessions of life, and reason for being detained in the waiting tank, I would paint a portfolio of who I was. They would sincerely accept me. I asked what was so funny. The man said, "Minutes ago when I was in the middle of my daily festive, you probably thought I was locutioning some gangster rap." I replied, "You're certainly correct. But the dramatization is what aroused my interest." The man continued, "Since you was manipulating music out there in life, I know you can recite a few dazzling lyrics from a classical song. I can tell what my comrades and I do excites you. By the way you muster your hands and facial expressions when communicating. I know you still got a little manipulation left in you for the love of music in life. Maybe you can join our daily Pella exhibition. My name is Mr. Gunn, this is the Curiosity Kid, and my main man the Griot. We're the sharpest minds in the recycle center. If you spit reality proses and poems you can be a part of our beauty. If you don't spit, feel free to be a spectator like the rest. But you're on your own in the center." A preponderant siren screamed obnoxiously as men in the waiting tank began scattering like roaches under lights, darting and hustling within the crowd out of the tank's front door. Men sputtered and scurried off to their cubicles. I ran into cubicle number 7. Inside the cubicle was an old green-soiled sofa, 2 shelves, a 55-inch flat-screen monitor and keyboard, 2 mounted hooks, and 2 deteriorated aluminum bunks ascended from the right wall, and a slender transparent sink and camhole. On the bottom bunk laid an old-timer who became institutionalized to the everyday monotony. He was my first encounter on character judgment for the 48 hours I've been here at the center. I would sit in the cubicle observing Old Red sedated for hours in his bunk absorbing daytime sitcoms, reruns, and pre-series. Red has been in the center for quite some time now, waiting for the doctor's review on his medical base file. He repetitiously murmured insecure statements aloud about reaching the dumps because of the medication the center has him under. Half of my 48 hours has been glancing at the 55-inch monitor to grasp Red's lustful lullaby world he adored so much. The other half has been puzzled about Mr. Gunn and the boys. Staring straight across into the neighboring cubicle signifying, and lastly laying in my bed swallowing my conscience about what the outcome will be pertaining to my judgment when the doctor examines me. Old Red metamorphosis back into his old mannerism self when the medication departs his body. Immediately he comes through, he runs his jib about his conviction for being admitted to the recycle center. Snowballing on about his outlook on life, Mr. Gunn, the curiosity kid, and the griot. When he mentioned those names, instantly I reinstate a delightful vision of the splendid Pella exhibition I visioned back in the waiting tank. I try to slip a quick one over Red's eyes by acting dumb as my choice of bait, asking all sorts of impartial questions about Mr. Gunn and the boys. But Red checkmated me every time. Boy, remember where you're at. Nobody is in here because they loved getting spiked. You can't manipulate a manipulator. Them boys got a beautiful thing happening during waiting tank hours. If you got some lyrical talent you can be initiated in, if not it's all on you to get in where you fit in. I tell you one thing, them boys are a few out of thousands who've been to the dumps and back to live to talk about it. Check them out, their illuminating lyrics is the medication for the mind, of all of us around here needs. But every time the exhibitions get immovable RNs and doctors ransack the waiting tank to detain patients for lethal injections, up at the Zap Lab or the virtual dispensary. What are those places? Red replies, heaven or hell, my son. He gets out of his bunk and smoothly dresses himself at a precise pace as if he has a date. RN's sweet attentive voice over a loudspeaker directs old Red and men in other cubicles to report to the doctor for their daily appointed injections. The cubicle door slides open and Red says, "See you in an hour, young blood," as his tottering bloodshot eyes indicated the pain of addiction.